Hey, Amber, question about the woman caught in adultery in John 8.
Okay,
I
hang
know
on,
you,
let me get there. Okay. I'm still sick, so I'm doing the best I
the
can.
stuff he knows.
I've had a sinus infection for over a week now. So,
All right.
John, what?
John chapter 8, I believe.
John chapter 8.
Is that
This
right,
one,
guys?
this one makes me cry, so I'm gonna turn. No, I don't think so. I think the woman on which one is it?
Uh,
Caught in
Adultery one.
adultery.
dispute over who Jesus is. You are incorrect. You lose your salvation. Sorry.
Yeah, you lost
Oh,
it.
all
So
right. I
I'll let
thought
you
it was
know.
John chapter 8.
No, I'll find out one.
The woman. Are you talking about the extra one in Mark that is disputed?
Yeah.
Well, there is. I thought it was. Okay, I told you. I told you I
It is
wasn't
in
good at
yeah.
chapter and verse.
John
John
chapter
8.
okay, so it starts in John 7:53. That's why I missed it.
Oh, okay.
So you
But it
are
spills over into 8, right?
partially you're partially correct. Yes.
You're
Okay.
saved.
All right.
Barely.
Well, it says,
Okay.
I just want to pass some reasoning past you since you're the Old Testament expert. This is my thinking. It says that the Pharisees brought her, they told Jesus they caught her in the very act, but they brought only the woman, and they asked Jesus to judge her according to the law of Moses.
Yeah.
My understanding of the Torah is number one, you had to bring both parties to the judgment.
Correct.
Okay, so this is automatically an illegal trial because
Yep.
they said they caught her in the very act, right? So it's an illegal trial,
Yeah.
and they were malicious witnesses because they knowingly didn't bring the man. The law of malicious witness said that they could have applied to them whatever would have happened to her if their testimony was taken as true. So
Correct.
instead of her being put to death,
Correct.
they could have been put to death instead. And
Correct.
I think when Jesus said, "Who among you is without sin, let him cast the first stone," he's asking them to commit to this judgment and actually, like, they would have gone too far and they could have ended up suffering the death penalty if they were willing to commit to being the witnesses. I don't
They
think he
are
said her free, like, oh no, we don't execute guilt. We don't do that anymore. I think he set her free according to the law of Moses. He did exactly what they wanted. And it bit him in the butt.
I think, well, I don't, yeah, okay. Yes, ish.
Yes, ish.
Yeah, I think under Torah, yes, they are guilty of breaking Torah here. You're absolutely right. The man should have been up in front as
Well,
well
they're
as
trying to get her murdered. They're trying to commit murder.
They're trying to set up Jesus, I think. I think they're trying to put Jesus in a position where he is going to, however he does this, break Torah.
Yes.
So they're
But
setting
you could also argue,
Jesus.
yeah, but you could also argue they're trying to do that by setting that they're, even now, and if a police officer falsely testifies on a material thing in a capital case, he could be set up for a capital offense.
Well, the thing is that because they approached him as a rabbi, as a leader and a judge, right? And so
Yeah.
if he had condemned the woman, right? Let's say hypothetically he condemned a woman, right? That would give them permission to stone the woman to death, right? But the person who would be held responsible and killed for that would be Jesus, because Jesus would be breaking Roman law, because they didn't have the authority to kill people back then. So they were trying to set him up, but they were setting him up to not just break Torah, but you know,
I
to get
don't
him
deny
killed.
that. I just think that they set them, that he's all, okay, let's do this according to the law of Moses, right? And he's basically thinking, where's the man and your malicious witnesses?
I think that the Roman aspect is kind of a side perk here. I think his accepting false witness in condemnation of someone would have made Jesus guilty of violating Torah in and of itself.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not sure that Rome is relevant in
I
this,
mean,
in the narrative of the story. I don't. It's a
they're
benefit.
relevant. It's relevant because they want to get him killed, and what they're using the same laws he wrote to basically get him killed, right? So they're doing a bunch of things. One, they're trying to demonstrate that that they're trying to demonstrate that he's not who he says he is. They're trying to get him to break Torah. They're trying to get him to they're trying to get him killed.
Well, your problem there is the talk of actually killing Jesus doesn't come in for a few chapters later. So they're just still trying to figure out how to deal with a problem right now.
They're trying to ruin his ministry for sure.
If they discredit him as a false prophet and by breaking Torah, by invalidating his claims of who he is, that takes care of the problem right there. Because we're not talking about death yet. They're trying to figure out, what do we do with this guy? So
I mean, I know that, but even before that, right? They did, at least from what I remember, they did have intentions to getting him killed. I mean, stoning is one of the ways they did it. And there are times when they didn't really care about, the Roman law, right? But at the end of the day, they realized that if he is responsible for the death of someone, right, he's basically usurping Roman power. Because at the end of the day, realistically, yes, they gave him over to the Romans. They were the ones who condemned him, but ultimately it was the Romans who killed him.
Okay, let's
right?
say that. Let's say this. They're just trying to get him to mess up. So whether it be do something that'll get him in trouble, mess up his ministry, if it's mess up the Torah, put him between a rock and a hard place, whatever it takes. A lot of those things are probably possible. Like what was their intent and how they exactly could get him thrown off. But the main thing is they're just trying to screw up his ministry, and that may end up being a way to do that through the government. I think some of that would be speculative, and because it's like I've read different things on this where it's like they weren't even, like if they had stoned her right there, that would have been illegal. But maybe they were doing that sort of practice against Torah, and so maybe they would have stoned her wrongfully.
What I'm asking Amber is, did he, like he so often did in other times, outsmart them and use Torah against them when they were, obviously not thinking too well?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I think so.
Is what should constrain the speculation on this, in my opinion, is realizing conceptually here that he's not going to do anything to violate what the Torah actually says and is intended to say. Whatever happens there, that should be the constraining considerations about how to interpret this. Because I've heard so many interpretations on what's going on here. Like a lot of people want to say, oh, the woman, if she was guilty and he was just like letting her off the hook, then he's not following Torah. And so people use this to prove that Jesus didn't care about following the Torah. And that's total garbage, in my opinion.
I think that sometimes when we get so used to understanding the entirety of the story that we forget, in following the flow as the story's going along, we back read in intention that may or may not be there. So you always need to be careful to follow where we at in this. Here, we're still figuring out, what do we do with this guy? He's a problem. What do we do with this guy? But we don't want to overread where we know the story's going too early into it, and just let it speak for itself. So here we're just dealing with a problem. We're trying to catch him, and we're trying to invalidate his ministry and put this guy out of our problem, get him out of the way, silence him. So I would just hesitate to backload too much into the narrative we know where it's going. We know that's what happens, and we know that it blows up massively in their faces. However, we just want to let the story unfold as it's unfolding, and not pre-weight too much into it yet. That's all I would say.
I just never bought the argument of, well, unless you're sinless, you can't judge other people, because then there would never be any judges in Israel, period.
Right.
Doy. That's obviously right. You're awesome. Sorry.
Yep. Well, my cold medicine's wearing off, so I'm going to need to sign out. You guys.